Hi guys, so welcome to episode 3 of Babbling Brummies with me and John. Um, so a little disclaimer to start with, obviously due to certain COVID situations, we can't obviously
Basically,
be gone.
basically my household's got COVID,
Yeah,
and
I
so,
was trying
so
not
we
to
usually
say it.
record together. But because of situations, we're recording apart today. But that's fine because we'll get it. The quality might be a bit different because we're using different equipment, but we're just going to go into it. Hopefully, it'll all still sound okay, right?
Well, yeah,
That's what we're
that's,
hoping for.
let's be honest, I mean, these guys won't mind. It will still sound the same, do you know what I mean? Just the quality might be a little bit different, but it's
Yeah,
fine. We're both using headsets that we use for PlayStation 5, so if anything, pity us. Imagine us trying to play Fortnite with this sound.
that's it.
Right. But yeah,
But
so John, interesting Boxing Day.
yeah. So that's where we're going to start, isn't it? Today, I know there's been
Yeah,
matches today. Well, it's the 28th today when we're recording this. It'll be, I'm guessing, 29th or 30th when it goes out.
yeah,
But the Liverpool match hasn't happened yet this evening. But Boxing Day, it was very, very high scoring. I don't know
yes.
which match you want to go over first, Jay.
Right, so I'll just type in Premier League on my phone. The first result I've got in front of me
Man City, was it?
is I've got West Ham 2, Southampton 3.
So that was Boxing Day, wasn't it? And that was a
Yeah,
game which sort of went everywhere. I remember
definitely,
because I wanted West Ham to win this one, if I'm honest.
of
And when
course.
Antonio, because he came on as a sub, didn't he, at half time um, when West Ham were 1-0 down. And I was like, please, please be the catalyst for change. And then 4 minutes after he came on, after not having the best first half, West Ham, but not an awful first half either. But after he came on 4 minutes, he scores. I was like, oh, this is
Yeah,
game changing. This could be the one. But alas, it was 3-2. Um, West Ham not in good form. Well, we'll come
we'll
to
get on to
today's
today's
game, yeah.
results.
But from at this point, they were not in good form at all, and that continued into this game. Southampton not really on great form either, but
No, but it's that
couldn't get
weird
the
time of
result,
the year, isn't it? Like
especially away
everyone,
from home.
yeah, like everyone just picking up results. And it's like you said, Boxing Day itself was just insane.
Yeah,
Like,
like the amount of goals that flew in, like it was ridiculous.
you look at the scoreline, it says, yeah, fine, West Ham 2, Southampton 3, but that game could have very easily ended West Ham 4, Southampton 3.
Yeah,
Like, it was it was just an end-to-end roller coaster, that was. As a neutral, that
actually,
would have been great.
and actually, West Ham had way more chances. I don't know what the XG was, but 11 shots to Southampton 7. Better possession, like 5 times as many corners.
Yep.
That says one thing about the attacking pressure they had on them. They could have easily. I mean, to be honest, they probably should have come away with something here, especially when they're fighting for European places and maybe even Champions League places.
Mm,
They should be able to beat Southampton at home.
they should, but they
Yeah,
didn't, unfortunately.
they didn't, and
Which
they
is,
really didn't. Like
yeah,
it wasn't even. I mean, I know it was one goal, but Southampton away from home, I'm pretty sure they've got one of the worst records in the league. I know at home they've only lost once, I believe, all season. Um, and but away from home, they are not really that great, not really that big of a threat. Whereas West Ham recently have been able to do stuff at home, away, all the time. I mean, if you look at the away table, Southampton have won twice all season away from home.
oh dear.
And if you look at the home table, West Ham, I mean, they're seventh in the home table. Played less games than a few people, but
I think the thing we find weird about
yeah,
this is the same West Ham United at home that have beat Chelsea,
yeah,
beat Liverpool.
yeah.
Like,
And
they,
before this game, Southampton had only won one game away all season.
like, it was just, yeah, it's one of
It
them,
should,
isn't it? It's crazy.
yeah. Going into this match, it was a game that West Ham needed to win because, let's be honest, Southampton aren't the greatest team. They always seem to be staying in the league by the skin of their teeth, a few places up at relegation, especially since they seem to be just selling all their best players.
You sound like a really
Uh,
hopeful Portsmouth fan who wants them to go down.
I'm really hoping Newcastle come in with a bid for James Ward-Prowse in January. That could be the nail in the coffin for him.
See ya. Che
He
Adams as
goes,
well. Che Adams is popping up with a goal or two from get him gone.
is he out at the moment? Is it Cokes? He didn't play today in today's match on the 28th. It was
He might be.
Long and Armstrong at the
I
top.
believe there was a record number of COVID cases in the Prem this week.
Over 100, wasn't there?
Yeah, including staff obviously, but okay.
Still.
So West Ham slipping a little bit, need to kind of sort themselves out really.
Yeah.
Don't know what's going on with them, but January might be coming at the right time for them.
It seems
So
like they've that momentum from the start of the season, probably coming from the end of last season. I mean, they topped their European group. They were top four for a long period, or at least final. I mean, they're still fifth now. They're still up there. But I think apart from Liverpool and Chelsea, they haven't won in the league for like 7 or 8 games. Not including today, of course, when they did one, but we'll get onto that later. But yeah, point of this game, they hadn't won the league for about 7 games, apart from obviously Chelsea and Liverpool are big wins. But it seems like they're struggling against teams maybe lower down
yeah,
and playing well against the teams at the top. And to be honest, they seem to play well when they don't have possession. It seems when they have time on the ball, they don't really know what
yeah.
to do.
They love a count. They love a counter attack. The problem is Southampton
Yeah,
were always going to set up away from home to counter attack.
yeah. So I mean, that game was a sad game for me. But again, I mean, I was going to say lots of goals, but every game in Boxing Day, like the 6 games that played, the lowest scoring was 2 goals and 3 goals. Like that's how many goals went in. The top scoring 9 goals in it. And should we go to that match now? The Man
Uh,
City Leicester one.
we're going to do Man City Leicester. All right.
So this was,
Yeah,
I mean, this was an incredible game. If I'm honest with you, went from it looked like Man City just going to blow him away at 4-0.
yeah. At half time, you
Uh,
kind of sat there like, oh dear.
I remember listening to this match actually, and I was like, oh goal, oh goal, oh goal, oh goal. Oh, 25 minutes in 4-0.
So,
This could be like a 9-0. Like that. What Leicester did to Southampton.
so
It could
obviously,
be revenge.
yeah, massive. I went. Obviously, I worked a night shift Christmas Day, so
Mm.
I just woke up, looked at the score, saw it was 4-0 at half time, and I was like, oh wow, like oh dear. I literally went, had some food,
Mm.
made a coffee, sat back down and looked and saw it was 4-3, and I was like,
Yeah,
what is
it was
happening? Like,
it was an amazing comeback.
it's like,
And like at that point, even though Man City had dominated the game, if you look at like the possession stats throughout the whole game, even when Leicester got their goals, and I think it's the stat of the touches in the final third, even when Leicester got their goals, minute by minute, Man City, I think for 87% of the minute, or 87 of the minutes, had were dominating in touches in the final third. And
oh yeah.
even when Leicester was scoring, it was just literally quick blasts when they scored. And it was at 4-3 though. That doesn't really matter. Man City could have had 90% possession, and be dominating everything, but at 4-3 could go either way.
I mean, there's one thing we've learned about the Premier League. The pretty football is nice to watch, and the possession game's great, but how many times
Hmm.
have teams scumbagged the win by just sitting behind the ball and having a counter attack? And I think this game was pivotal for a couple of reasons. One, it shows that Leicester defensively have a lot of work to do, but it also shows
Yeah,
that Man City to concede 3 goals that quickly on a
have
counter
got a
attack,
weakness. Yeah,
yeah, and it's pace. When you haven't got
mm.
Kyle Walker, covering on the right, and you're left with Laporte and was it Ruben Diaz probably playing, they're
Yeah.
not the quickest of lads. If you can get past Rodri, and then you're gone. Rodri's not renowned for his pace. You got that
And one,
triangle three there. If you can get at them, Patterson Daka showed that you can get at them.
and they didn't have Kyle Walker.
Mm,
So I mean, Cancelo's got a bit of pace on him. Zinchenko's not the fastest, but when they're missing that pacey defender who can, like you saw it with England
yep.
when Maguire made mistakes, when Stones made mistakes, especially in that Germany game, Walker was sweeping up behind. And in this game, maybe that's what they missed. Maybe if they had Walker, it would have been 6-0. I mean, Man City was super clinical. They only had 13 shots all game and scored 6. compared to Leicester, who also had 13 and scored 3. Like, but it's
Two
them counter
penalties as well.
attacks. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's them two counter attacks. Oh, it's them counter attacks, though, isn't it? Like when they don't have that pacey player,
Yeah.
are they going to be susceptible to it?
The problem I've got is I've now gone from obviously when we spoke 2 weeks ago and last week, and I was like, Man City just need a striker. Whereas now I'm kind of like, Man City, I think, don't just need a striker. I think they need. I'm not saying they need new defence, but they definitely need another centre back or two to cover, like another right back to jump in, another left back to jump in.
I mean,
They,
they have got Cancelo and Zinchenko and Walker, who are all great. And I mean, Cancelo's been amazing this season. This year, to be honest, I know he's been playing on the side what he's not used to playing on, or in the previously hasn't played on.
that assist though against Everton when he just
Mm.
inside of the boot. Oh,
But when they're reserved are Ake and Stones. I mean, Stones is great. Ake's never really been. I know I don't want to sound like an idiot here, but it's not really been proven in a team like Man City.
well, no.
He's always played for struggling teams. I know it was Chelsea, wasn't he? When he went to
And so he went
Bournemouth,
from
is that
Chelsea to
correct?
someone. I think it was
But he didn't
Bournemouth. I
really
think you're
play for
correct.
Chelsea, and he's played for teams which are struggling in the league and
And he's
getting
always
attacked. Not is maybe he's not a good backup for a team who will only be counter attacked really.
and it's taken. I mean, this sounds stupid, but a lot of his career he's been playing different places. He's been
Yeah.
thrown between left back and centre back. I think for
Mm.
Bournemouth he was thrown in at DM a couple of times.
Yeah.
Like like he's never really until the last time until coming to Man City and the last 2 seasons of starting to get a bit of game time. You can consistently see him as a centre back.
Yeah. I mean, it was. I mean, I think it was very much. I think Man City's have they been a bit battered by COVID as well, haven't they? I mean, they named 2 keepers on the bench,
Yeah.
as well as I think 3 youngsters. So look,
Uh,
three,
It,
one, two, the 3 youngsters.
it's crazy, and they've lost so much of their squad, yet they're still fielding probably about £700 million worth of player.
Yeah, I mean, their
Madness.
bench is probably still worth more than Leicester's starting 11,
Well, yeah, Grealish was on it.
and Foden, who I know they haven't sold him, but he would be worth probably similar amount to Grealish if they were to sell him.
Not sound like a
Uh,
biased Birmingham fan, but I'm firmly in the belief that if Grealish is 100 mil, Foden's 150.
I think the thing with Foden, this is probably a bit off topic, but the thing with Foden is discipline. I mean, you've seen for England, he got disciplined
Yep.
for his antics off the pitch, and now Pep's done the same.
Yeah, but
Like it
Pep
seems,
is
it
a bit.
seems like there's a theme though,
I mean,
and it maybe,
all he's done is gone nightclubbing though, like with Grealish. Like it's not like he's
but
done
then he came
anything
to
major.
train in not a fit state.
Oh, did he? Oh, I didn't read that
Yeah,
bit. Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it was like really bad, but he wasn't up to the standard that they expect. And if that happens, and if it's a theme of going against the manager's will, so for England breaking the bubble and this one going out and not turning up to training, it could be some sort of like another Balotelli who had a really promising youth for it never really to be fulfilled, or even even worse, someone like what's his name,
I suppose the main one
Rodwell.
the main one you think about when you think of all the potential in the world is
Hmm.
his name's just slipped my mind. We had him on loan. He's at Derby now.
Ince. No, not Ince.
No. I'll find it now. One sec, one sec.
That's fine. That's fine. You go. But like that's the thing. Potential doesn't mean that you're going to become an
Attitude
amazing
is mad. Ravel
player.
Morrison.
Oh yeah, he was at West Ham as well, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah, and even Micah Richards. I know
he
he
was
had an
very
okay.
injury prone though, weren't he? Bless him.
He was injury prone, but also he said that I watched him recently when he was chatting with Gary Lineker, and he said at 19 his paycheck I think went from like 9 grand a week or around. Don't This isn't the exact figures, but it's the exact multiplication from 9 grand to 90 grand a week as a 19-year-old. And he said that ruined him. He remembered going on like a night out and having like tens of thousand bar tab for one night and stuff like that. And he said that ruined him because from that point he didn't put the effort, he didn't put the work in.
Well, I suppose, and
Um,
you don't get a good group of friends around you at that point. You don't get,
yeah,
you know what I mean, them Stonewall people who all just
19
go,
years
nah,
old,
nah.
having that money at 19, and that I suppose he was meant to be like one of the next big things, Michael Richard, and he ended up. I mean, he's been a pundit for a couple of years now, and he's in his early 30s. Do you know what I mean? Like he's
Side note, I think he's a fantastic pundit, though.
yeah, he's great. He's great.
I mean, like,
He's one of my
I saw
favourites.
someone put it on Facebook a few weeks ago, and they said Michael Richards, and my biggest compliment to him is I'm not sick of hearing him
Yeah,
as a
yeah.
pundit. Like, and that's quite tough to say this year. Like, we're sick to death of a lot of pundits sometimes, but he's been good.
He's very good, and he just brings a bit of life. But yeah, but like the Foden thing, let's hope his discipline doesn't take away from his on-field ability.
Yeah, he's at that point, isn't he? Like, he's so good, but the attitude could ruin his career.
Yeah, but that game 6-3.
Yeah,
The result, not the result you expected, the team winning you expected.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
A
yeah.
lot more drama in it than people thought, I think, and it could have gone either way at one point. But yeah, it's a great game of football.
Oh, massive! It was good to watch as well.
Yeah.
Like when I watched the highlights back, I was like, wow. Like, so next we move on to Norwich's absolute fell apart against a good Arsenal team.
Well, we wanted to talk today about Arsenal. Why don't we do that now as well? Mix it in with this about how Arsenal looking stronger and stronger
They are
every
looking
single game.
scarily better and better.
And like you look at their team as well. I know we're going about this a lot. The youth in it. You look from the back here. What their team sheet from that game. Ramsdale early 20s, Ben White early 20s, Rob Holden early 20s, Gabriel early 20s,
Is Rob Holding
Kieran
only early
Tierney.
20s?
Who? Rob
Rob
Holden, I believe
Holding?
so.
He, fe-
Let me just check.
I mean, no, I believe you, but I mean, you know when you just hear them names where you feel like they've been around for eternity?
It was not mid 20s, 25
Yeah, that's still young though for a starting centre back in a
or
Premier League.
26 now. So he's turned 26. Yeah, but and he's not their main centre back at the back, is he
That's
really?
mad.
But anyway, Tierney early 20s. Obviously, Jacques is a bit older,
He's the
but
senior.
one of the senior players there are. But Thomas Partey, who isn't too old, is he? He's 28, so he's
Yeah, I was gonna say
mid-career.
late 20s.
But then you got Martinelli, teenager still, I'd say, maybe 20.
I think so. Yeah,
Uh,
he's not old.
Odegaard around the same age, Saka
Hmm.
around the same age, and Lacazette. So three senior players, would say, Xhaka, Partey, and Lacazette.
And you look at that team and you realise they hadn't even started Emil Smith Rowe. There's so many good
Yeah,
players they would have left on the bench.
and you've got like a bit of experience on the bench as well. But also, who's that left back they play? I don't know, so Tavares, who,
Yeah. The one they bought this season in.
yeah, again another young player. Like they, in the next few years, they could honestly be one of the best teams in England, maybe even the world if they keep. Oh, that's a big statement. But if
Well,
these
no, it's
players
true.
start
But
developing like they are and they don't lose them all,
Arteta said at the start of the season when they lost three in a row, he said, "Trust the process,
yeah,
trust the process," and you're seeing it
some
now.
managers are brought in for instant results, some managers are brought
Yeah,
in to rebuild.
some need to
And
rebuild.
this is a rebuilding one, I think. And like, I mean, they were away today, the other day, so won 5-0. But their home form this season, I don't know if you know where they are on the home table, in their form table, not in the form table, in the home table, Jay. They're second to Man City at home,
Wow,
and they've played 9 games where a lot of teams have played 10, and they're still second. They've lost one, drawn one, won 7 at home.
that's
It's a
mad.
fortress, and like this Arsenal team could. I think. I mean, I've said every single podcast we've done. I think they're finishing fourth this season. I know
And I
Tottenham
think
and
I've
United could
I've
both.
gone from laughing and
Mm,
thinking you were optimistic about a team to kind
yeah,
of believing you.
yeah. I mean, if they the first 3 games of the season, which were games to forget for Arsenal, let's say that's quite fair. What were they? They were Brentford away, weren't they?
Hmm.
What were the other two? It was one of the big. Was it Tottenham they played? But they
No,
lost to
Tottenham was
Tottenham.
the turning point, weren't it? They beat Tottenham, didn't they? Or did they lose to
First game
Tottenham?
of the season was Brentford, Chelsea, yeah, and Man City.
Hmm.
So they lost to Man City and got battered. Lost to Chelsea 2-0. Lost to Brentford 2-0.
Because I remember
But
the
if you
whole Spursy thing happened from that as well. Because it was, imagine Tottenham at top of the league and Arsenal bottom of the league. Watch Arsenal lose. Like,
if you forgot about them first 3 games of the season, obviously you don't. A season's 38 games long. But if you did, they'd be second in the league right now.
mm-hmm.
Like that's how close they are to the action. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to say they're going to win the league this year. I think that probably be a ridiculous statement right now. But I really do think they're going to get top four and get it quite convincingly as well.
I think. I know I sound like a broken record every week. I've mentioned the African Cup of Nations, but it is massively going to affect every team in this league, and you're going to have to see
But
how it affects these teams. Like Arsenal losing a fair amount of players in the
who?
AFCON. Who
Who?
are
Who
Arsenal losing?
plays? Just
Partey.
Partey, isn't it?
So you've got. Hang on, let me get it up there. Where's Arsenal?
Pepe, but he's on the bench.
Pepe, Aubameyang obviously
Partey,
goes. El
doesn't
Nene.
matter. Al Nene's
Well, yeah,
bench boy.
but
The only starter I would say is
Partey.
Partey, who they're losing.
No, yeah.
Like, and I get your point, but I
It
think
looked
other
worse
teams are
on
going to be
paper.
affected a lot more. I think because you see names like Partey, Al Nene, who's been a part of Arsenal or on loan
Aubameyang's
the last
basically
few
gone
seasons.
anyway.
Exactly. Like I don't think. I mean, they got Lacazette for the Aubameyang role of that sensible head up top, who actually had a really good game against Norwich, by the way. First half
Pepe
much better than second half, but yeah, Pepe. When
doesn't
you've got
exist.
Martinelli, Odegaard, Saka, and then Smith Rowe on the bench,
He's not fifth
he's not
choice.
really going to get a sniff, is
He'll struggle to make Ivory Coast starting 11.
he? Like I, I can't see them not getting top four right now. At the start of the season, or about 5 games in, 6 games in, I said I think they could get it. But right now, that was more of a punt back there. But right now, I think it's a pretty safe play by putting them in fourth at the moment. What do you think?
No, I agree. I think they're set for fourth at the minute. I think, and I would have said if this podcast had been done yesterday, I would have said Tottenham have games in hand, but Tottenham have shown today
Oh, ridiculous.
that they have just bottled a 10-men game where they
I,
had the advantage for so long and couldn't get the goal.
to be fair, though, they had 2 goals that should have went in. Should have counted. One of them offside, which I don't think was offside. It was literally like the offside lines were literally on top of each other, and I thought they were giving benefit of the doubt.
Yeah,
That
as
was
I say,
still
I
one.
thought they'd
And
thicken the lines to striker advantage.
and the second one, it's just Forster was literally. I know we'll talk about this more probably in a minute, but Forster was literally. He went to catch the ball and fumbled it into his own net. And they said because a player was near him, who they knocked into each other, but the player didn't hit the ball out of his arms or anything. It just hit inside. Even Clattenburg, who was they're like off field official, well for Amazon anyway, they've hired him to.
Yeah,
So what he
Amazon.
said, it shouldn't. For him, it wasn't a foul. He goes because he gave it, then VAR aren't going to overrule it. But he goes for him, it wasn't. So it should have been 2-3-1.
Well,
But anyway,
no, he
I
says
was
that, but
fuming about that.
VAR, I swear VAR is meant to be a clear or obvious error. Not
But
giving
he's
a
what
goal because of a stupid decision is a clear error.
I think so. But I mean, usually referees don't go against each other. You see when they bring these referees on, they usually say the same as what's on field.
I
But
think
Clattenburg say
goalkeepers are
it was
protected too
wrong.
much.
They are. It was ridiculous. I mean, if you watch that, Jay. I mean, I was lucky enough to be able to watch it live. I love that Amazon's got some games. I know it's hard to so many different places, so much money, but I've got Amazon Prime anyway. So it was a good game of football. Before Southampton went down to 10 men, it was quite. Uh, it was probably in their favour to be fair, but it was a stupid red card to get.
Yeah, well,
And
okay,
then
well, we'll quickly bounce back.
yeah,
We'll get onto them
sorry,
now.
not so bad.
It's all right, we've got 2 more games on Boxing Day. We just need to fly through. 2 more,
Yeah,
3 more, 3 more.
it was
So,
Tottenham
Tottenham,
Palace.
Tottenham 3, Palace 0. I watched this game.
Mm,
It was all set up for a Tottenham game. Palace for the first 10 minutes were trying to get at them, and it was just a
yeah,
case of when a Conte's team going to click into place, when's it all going to work, and then bang, 2 goals in 2 minutes. Harry
and a red
Kane
card as
starting to
well.
look like his old player. Yeah, Zaha's a mug. I don't know if you've seen it.
I haven't
Zaha's an
seen this.
idiot. So he gets
What
a silly
happened?
yellow card anyway, and
Yeah,
then the ball's going out of play and your man's just shielding it. You know, they put the body in the way and stuff. Zaha,
Yeah, yeah,
already on a yellow card in the first half, 2-0 down, grabs him by the
yeah.
throat and throws him to the floor.
He seems like a bit of a hothead, though, doesn't he,
He's
Zaha?
like, you're meant to be like, if they were going to get back into this game,
He's
you
the catalyst.
needed him. Yeah, yeah, he's the guy,
Yeah,
and he like, your whole game plan at that point becomes Zaha, give him the ball, hope for the best. Like, and it's such a stupid sending off.
and it
Idiotic,
really.
like,
I mean, they probably wouldn't have come back in even with it, but if they were going to, like you're saying, he's your man, and he's
yeah.
just thrown that chance away.
And I think this, yeah, of course. And I think this game was big for Tottenham in terms of, I know we've just spoke about they struggled against Southampton, but at the same time, if you look at that game, I believe it was Son, Kane, and Moura all got the goals. The
Yeah,
front three is starting to,
I saw that a statistic since Conte took over in the league. Like, I think it's like Harry Kane scored 4, Son scored 3, Moura scored 2, but then Moura's got 3 assists, Kane's got 2
hmm
assists, something like that. It's working together nicely.
I read something interesting earlier. Actually, I was just reading it
Yeah,
as I was on an article, and it said it's weird that Nuno Santo, when he was there,
mm.
had them as the lowest work rate in the Premier League.
Yeah, I
Under Conte,
saw
they're
this
the
as well.
highest.
Yeah, I saw that earlier. Yeah,
So they're
it's
now
crazy the
like, yeah,
change,
yeah. And I
and it
didn't
seems to
really
be
notice
lasting.
it.
It seems to be lasting, doesn't it? Like
Yeah,
you saw Man United with their new manager, first few games having that high pressing game, which has
yeah.
now disappeared again.
Wow,
Like,
we'll get on to United. Aston Villa 1, Chelsea 3. What more can be said about this? Gerrard's out with the vid. Um,
yeah, I
and
watched this game as
the
well.
first half, I think it's fair to say, Villa looked good.
Um, they looked okay. I mean, I watched this game. It was a silly own goal. People blaming Reece James, but as a defender, if the cross comes in,
You have to get a
you try
hand,
and
you
head
have
it
to get a
out.
foot to it, even hand.
It was Mendy's positioning, I would say. It was more Mendy's error than James's. James didn't have a great game all game. Not gonna lie, I felt bad for him. There's a few things he did not very well. But for a defender, if the ball's coming in, you don't know if there's a clinical striker behind you.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? You don't know that if you're playing this game, if Danny Ings is behind you, Ollie Watkins, especially from across, is
yeah.
behind you. You try and get that ball out. So he heads it, even if he doesn't hit it out of play, it puts the striker off. For me, I think he does the right move. Then
At the end of the day,
Mendy,
it's like
not in a
your
great
point is
position.
perfect. Like you have to try and get something on the ball. You
You don't
know,
have time to turn around and see who's behind
Yeah,
you. Obviously, you should be aware,
but Ollie
but
Watkins is so like mad when he moves. Anyway, I don't know if you've
yeah,
watched him much, but he just
yeah,
moves.
yeah,
He just runs about the place. He's like a mad little rabbit. You know, you're trying to watch him,
yeah.
and you're like, where's he going? Like Ings is the one who's going to be stood there waiting for the ball. Like Watkins is the nusser who runs about.
Hmm.
So you're not going to know if he's behind you or not.
You're gonna
So
need to just
gone.
get. You just need to head it, don't you? Like
Yeah,
it's
get
just
something on it.
one of the first rules of defending, really.
I would
Don't let
rather
the
concede an own goal via a defender trying to clear it than just leaving the ball and allowing someone to just whack it in backstick.
because 9 times out of 10 it would be the right move.
Yeah.
In this case, unluckily, it wasn't. I mean, Chelsea scored 2 penalties. Both of them, I believe, were penalties. I mean, the last one especially, he like clean takes out Lukaku,
Oh
but
yeah. And that was the catalyst to change, wasn't it? Really? Like,
Lukaku coming on.
was it 1-1 at half time anyway?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I have a friend who went to the game. He's a season ticket holder at the Villa, but we don't talk about that. And he turned around and he said, like, as soon as he saw Romelu Lukaku warming up, he was like, oh no. Like, he
And
knew.
to be honest, Lukaku was involved, but the only two big things he did was the goal and getting the penalty. But that's all he needed to do. That
Well,
was the
yeah.
change.
But he just
But
changes it
he was
up,
up
doesn't
around
he?
there. Yeah,
Like, it's the fear factor as well. Like, you've gone from them trying to play nicey football to you've got an absolute powerhouse up top now,
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
waiting. Like, and look at look at the Lukaku goal itself. What's Mings doing?
Yeah,
What is he doing? You
he's not
talk
had a
about
great
Reece
season this
James and
season.
people saying he weren't good, but at least jump with the man. I know he's a
Yeah,
unit. I know he's an absolute tank of a man. But standing there and trying to lean into Romelu Lukaku, it's just not going to work.
no.
The man makes
It
a
was
killing off that.
it was a good game. Like you said, at Villa weren't bad. To be fair, until the Chelsea penalty, I'd say Villa probably slightly had the better of the game. It was close,
Mm.
but then after that, it seemed like the momentum just switched. And then when Lukaku came on, like we were saying, it was only going to go one way in that game.
Yeah, I mean, it's another result that doesn't surprise us, so does it? Do you know what I mean? We're not sat here going, "Oh, I didn't expect that." Well, no,
No,
I did.
exactly.
I believe we're in a prediction league, and I believe I actually perfectly scored that as well.
I think you do. And the thing is, like with that, like I know Chelsea haven't been in great run of form, and Aston Villa have, but I still think you expect Chelsea to win that game. So, the last game of the last game of the 28th of Boxing Day was Brentford,
Yeah, Brighton 2, Brentford
Brighton,
0.
which again in our prediction league, I was the only one to get right. Everyone else went for Brentford or draw. I
I
went
think
for
I went
Brighton. I
draw.
was still in Brighton, not been in great form, but going out to win. Brentford, I find to be probably the most inconsistent team this season. Not the
Brentford,
worst team, just you don't know who's going to show up.
yeah, Brentford will go and slap a United 2-0, but then get battered by Norwich 3-0 the next week. Like, you don't know
Exactly.
which Brentford you've got.
And away from
Um,
home against a team like Brighton who do create chances.
and I
It
think
was
this was
for me. It was one
big for
way.
Brighton. Big, because I don't know what. I still, like we said last week, I don't understand why fans are on Graham Potter's back. The man
No, no,
has got them playing good football, attacking. Yeah, results don't go your way a lot of the time in the Premier League. Invest in him then. No, you know what I
mm,
mean? Give him the money to spend. The man's got a decent squad and he's doing all right with it. Like, I think these fans are a bit of a joke, really, going, yeah, Graham Potter's not very good.
yeah,
Oh, he needs to leave now. No, let him go. I guarantee you, let
exactly.
him go. You had a proven decent manager in Chris Hughton who kept you up and you still sacked him. You're bored
Yeah.
or a joke.
I mean,
Like,
if they let him go, I want to get relegated. I'll say
yeah,
it now. I mean, I don't mind Brighton, even though they're sort of like Portsmouth, like friendly rivals. If they get rid of him, I want them to get relegated. I want to see them to see what they're throwing away there.
yeah,
But
and
I
that
don't think he'll go. I don't think he will.
I don't think you will. But that sums up Boxing Day. That was interesting. Obviously, we had some games called off.
And I suppose in the same round of fixtures, we talk about the United game yesterday.
Yep. So we will jump straight into that one. Yep.
Because that was sort
So
of like the same round of fixtures, like
no, no,
the
it
week
is.
fixture. You know what I mean?
It's the in between, isn't it? So
Yeah, yeah.
Newcastle won, Man United won, and you could sit here and argue the toss all day that Newcastle could quite easily feel a grudge by only having a point.
And Man United, as angry as they get when they're like, "Oh, the defense is actually all right when Varane's back," he was not great, Varane, and especially for the Newcastle goal. Everyone's blaming Maguire. I
I
think it was a
mean,
joint effort how bad it was. They
yeah,
were
but
both pulled out of position, both not close enough to their man, for when the ball was coming in, and then both in a really awkward position for Maximin to just finish it. It was both awful defending from both centre backs. I mean, you might say
Maguire is
Maguire was
Maguire.
worse, but it was Varane was also not great,
I think
especially in that goal.
Maguire will naturally come under the light though, and he's the club captain. Am I wrong?
And he's English. I think
English
English
club
players,
captain, England
yeah,
captain. Like, I know he's not Harry Kane's England captain, but you know what I mean. Like, he's a catalyst, isn't he? Like, he's that kind of player that we all look at as the
yeah.
big towering centre half. Like,
But the thing
and
with
he's also
Maguire
got
is
80
he'll do.
million price tag.
But that's the thing with Maguire. He will do some amazing things. You saw him for England. He was a great player for England, and for Man United, he's done some great things as well. But he's also prone to the error,
Yeah,
and that's why I don't know if he was worth 80 million. I
no,
think if he didn't have these errors in his game, his little errors, £80 million player, 'cause he's a dominant force 90% of the time.
I think
But
obviously
he's
you had
just
the problem of Man United needed a centre back. He's English. He plays for the England national team. He ticked a
yeah.
lot of boxes, so his price naturally went up.
But it's too error prone to be seen. It's like the Van Dyke. Van Dyke makes like 4 or 5 errors a season,
And
like big errors.
didn't Van Dijk go a whole calendar year without being dribbled past?
I think it was even longer. It was a
Yeah,
calendar year, even longer as well.
like yeah, I remember
Like,
reading it and thinking, what? Like in a whole year, someone couldn't dribble past him. Like the
and that's the thing.
man.
Like, he does make errors, Van Dyke. We've seen him
Mhm.
make errors, especially some of the, like when I remember once he passed it back and someone intercepted stuff like that, but not to the same magnitude that Harry Maguire does.
And I think Maguire, the issue is it's a lot of the same kind of errors.
Yeah,
Whereas a good centre back
he's
learns from the first time.
yeah. Sadly, I don't know. I don't think he'll ever be. I don't think anyone will ever say he's going to be as good as Van Dijk or someone like that,
No,
or
I
as
think
good as
Van
like
Dijk's.
prime Ramos or prime PK,
I
like
don't-
who you rarely saw make errors.
and I
And
don't
if
like
they
to
did, a
say
lot
it,
of the
but
time they fixed them.
I think Van Dijk is one of them once in a generation centre backs, like
Do you
defensively.
think?
He's up there, isn't he? He's up there, top three.
What in this? What generation you on about? Like
Like in
last
terms
10
of
years?
this one we're in, like the last 10ish years.
Hmm.
Like if you look at, let's say the last 5 years,
Last
name me a
5 years,
better
I think
centre
he's
back.
been the best centre back in the world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. Like at the minute, you
Last 10
can't
years, I
compare
think
to
he
him.
might be pushing it a bit. He probably still would make the back two. But
Yeah,
when you look at
him
some
and
of
a
the players,
Ramos.
I mean, Ramos, Chiellini, prime
We
PK
don't
for
we don't talk
Barcelona.
about Italian defenders on this podcast. Thank you.
Sorry.
It's
But
alright.
these are good centre backs. I mean,
Yeah,
when you go back like last 20 years and you get into the Rio Ferdinand and stuff stage, which
yeah.
then it'll be a bigger discussion, I think. Not saying he's better or worse, but it'll be a bigger discussion. The last 10 years, I think he's probably top two centre backs in the world for me. Maybe, definitely top four, probably top two for me.
I can't see a centre back coming out to his level in the next 10 years. I think that's what I was trying to roundabout way say.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? I mean, you don't know who's around the corner. Centre backs is a weird one because you don't usually see young centre backs thinking they're going to be the next best player. Then you do see like the Mbappes, you do see the Haalands because you see their returning goals, don't you?
Yeah, true.
But then you got like what's Chelsea's fullback called? Oh, not fullback, centre back called. I always get his name wrong. He scored first game of the season. Chabaloa.
Chalaba.
I don't know how to say it. Yeah, yeah.
Him. Yeah.
He's young. He's good. Ben White, even if he carries on going in the way he's going, he's relatively young for a centre back anyway. I mean, don't misquote me. I'm not going to say he's going to be the best centre backs in the
No,
world.
no, I'm holding you
But
to this one now.
I think it's harder to judge centre backs early than it is attackers. Personally,
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. But where were we going with this?
we just finished the United game.
There we go.
Um,
That's where we're at.
they shouldn't have
United.
won, but they drawn, but they did.
Well,
It
yeah.
was
It was a
I
good.
mean, did you
It
see the
was an
Gary Neville
interesting
rants
game.
about this game?
Now, did he kick off? Did he cry tears about this game? Did he?
Well, one thing he said, which was interesting, which I think is true, and I actually see it. He says two players on United's team that whinge. Shouldn't be saying
Ronaldo.
they're like blaming some Ronaldo, Bruno, both Portuguese players. I don't know if it's a cultural thing. It might be, might not be. I don't see a lot of other Portuguese players. You don't see Jota doing it. You don't see Cancelo doing it. So maybe it's just these two. But he's like, you see the first half, every little mistake they're whinging, and he thinks the young players get influenced by that. And he said one of the big things he saw is at half time when Cavani came on, that experienced head, the Cavani who's played at PSG, the Cavani who's played for Uruguay
Yeah.
for years and years, who's played top league in Italy as well. When he came on, the young players sort of looked to him and saw he wasn't getting affected by this whinging, and he was like
Yeah.
saying, "Man, United needs to play Cavani to counteract the whinging from Ronaldo and Fernandes."
And this is, I don't. To me, it looks like Ronaldo is already sick of United.
I mean, have you seen the team he's playing with?
Yeah,
I'm
that's what I
not
mean. But
surprised.
he looks like he's already had enough. Like he's literally like, please, like. And Cavani, the
Hmm.
forgotten man in some ways, like coming on
I
and
think he's been,
scoring.
I think he's been Man United's second best player this season.
That's what I mean. But since Ronaldo's come in, like people seem to forget that he exists a lot of the time. And now he's
Like,
starting to come in. It was a good goal for him to score as well. Like kind of
yeah,
everyone, he'll fight his way into that team.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. When he first signed for United, I thought it was a waste because the amount of wages they're going to spend on him. And maybe it was, but I think this last 2 years, from when he's played, he's been their best or second best player.
Oh yeah,
He's been brilliant.
he's been great.
He saw his work
Like,
rate in the Champions League. Do you remember that goal?
mm,
Not Champions League. Yeah, it was Champions League. And Ronaldo giving up, and you just see Cavani,
yeah,
blistering
going,
pace and got the ball.
gone.
Yeah,
Like,
I
it's
like him. I think he's
yeah.
good. I was proven wrong. I think.
I think Ronaldo is literally acting like a 36-year-old man baby at the minute, and I don't know what's going on with him. You know,
I think
it's the
he's
highest level of football. Decisions aren't going to go your way. There is going to be stuff that goes wrong in a game. You're tired. You're playing a lot of fixtures. Grow up. Stop crying. Like, get on with it. If anyone's going to look at you to get the goal, they're going to look at you to inspire the team. If you and your most creative midfielder in Bruno are both bitching on the side when you're not getting stuff your way, the whole team's morale is going to fall apart. 100%.
I think his body might be catching up to his age. Not as many 36-year-old players. I mean, his body's like ridiculous compared to a lot of people who are 36. But I think it's starting to catch up. You look at a striker and you think, what are his prime years? 28 to 30 usually. Obviously, Messi,
Yeah.
Lewandowski, and him are like abnormal to that.
The
You'll
the
take 28 to
anomalies.
31 in your prime years.
Yeah.
And maybe his body's catching up with his age a little bit. And I mean, we see him adapt to this game. He doesn't run as much. I mean, he can run. You saw that in the Euros when it was at Portugal's goal. Was it against Germany when he headed the
Yeah.
ball out from the defence from a corner. Then he goes and buries the goal at the top as well. But he's got it in him. But maybe only once or twice per game he can do it now. And you see him adapting his game. He's not doing as much. And maybe it's frustrating him a bit that he's seen these other players do. I'm not saying it's right, but you've seen players like Greenwood who got taken off at half time. You see him like maybe mistouch a ball or not get around the play. When I was like, when I was his age, me 5 years ago, I could easily do that, and he's getting annoyed. Not saying it's right for me moaning at these players, but I can sort of see in his mind why his headspace has gone now.
Oh no, of course, but I think unnecessary tears at his team when they're struggling in the
Yeah,
game isn't the most helpful thing for a man of such experience who's won so many trophies and
yeah.
done so much in his career. I think you should have the tactical nous to know that acting like a bit of a knobhead isn't the best way to go about it.
I mean, you look at him in the Portugal win in the Euros. Like that was a Ronaldo who you respect in the final when he went off injured, and he was there, and he was like he was basically a second manager. And
Hmm.
that's the Ronaldo you need, encouraging your players, encouraging Eder to score. And if you've got that Ronaldo, that's better than the Ronaldo who's moaning every time a ball's miskicked.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
gonna help your team. He helped his team more off the pitch in that Portuguese match probably than on the pitch in that Newcastle match.
and maybe it's a case, and I know it sounds stupid to say, but maybe sometimes football partnerships don't work, and sometimes you're worse off when you start two fantastic players on the same pitch can cause an issue.
Yeah,
Gerrard, Lampard, Scholes trio for England was always the mainstay for that, both the same kind of player. Maybe
yeah.
Bruno and Ronaldo are that kind of, when they're both on the pitch together, they're class, but it's counteracted by a bad attitude and them thinking they're better than.
I mean, saying that, Jay, just triggering in my mind. Start of the season, Bruno was on unreal form first few games.
Hmm.
I remember that was it the first or second game when it was like 4 or 5 goals and he scored like
Yeah.
three of them. So let me just look at the score, which game that was.
His
Him and Pogba in that
confidence,
game,
yeah,
and like it
against Leeds, weren't it, when he got
was
that
it
trick?
Leeds?
Yeah, because
Yeah, it was
Ailing
like
scored the absolute thunder shot, didn't they?
yeah, it was 5-1, and you had Fernando's hat trick, and Fred and Mason Greenwood. But even in like the whole game, he was unreal. Pogba was unreal,
And I
and
think
maybe these
Bruno's
are players who need.
confidence is gone since
Yeah,
that Villa game
yeah.
when he went to take the penalty and Ronaldo kicked off at him and he blazed it over in the last kick of the game.
I think Bruno needs to be the main man in the team, and I don't think he is.
And I think he
It's
hates
sort of
it
like, do you
secretly.
remember like Tom Cleverley when he was like, "You need to build a team around me." Bruno
Yeah, but you
seems to be that
do.
sort of player. TC23.
You need, Tom Cleverley is the GOAT, mate. Um,
Maybe Bruno's that player. He doesn't suit well as second fiddle, and maybe that's not a player for every team. But I mean, you've seen that Leeds game, how great he can be.
yeah, it'll be interesting. We'll see what January brings for United, but I am interested to
Yeah,
see that because that is looking like something's got to change there, really, which is sad to say.
yeah.
But Ralph Wreckett seems to be the kind
Wreck-It
of
Ralph.
manager who wants the best for his team and he wants an
Yeah,
attitude of work rate and going for it. So, yeah, and he seems like the kind of manager that's got the balls as well to turn around and go, oh, you don't like that? Okay, you know what, Ronaldo, what? You can go on the bench. What? Nah, see ya.
yeah.
Cavani, you're
That's
starting, lad. Right.
like I reckon that'd get more results if that happened. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Ronaldo's an unreal player,
Oh, yeah, I'd have him on loan at
but
Brom.
I think there's too many. I'm using like quoting things, star players in this United team. They're not team players. I mean, look at Bruno last year at United. For 90% of the season, he was amazing. went to Euros. I know last few games when United wasn't great, but went to Euros, getting a team with Ronaldo in, didn't play well at all the whole of the Euros.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Ronaldo's not at United, had a great start to the season. And since he's been there, I've not seen him play a great game.
Yeah, me neither.
So I think maybe he's one of them players who needs to be the start, and United have too many stars. Like Pogba's disappeared. I know he's like not interested or whatever, but maybe he's a similar sort of player. You got Pogba, Bruno, and Ronaldo. The team's not big enough for all three. You get what I mean? Does that make sense? I'm not just
Yeah,
like
yeah, no, no, no,
nonsense.
100%. You're talking pure sense there. Like that does, yeah, 100%. I think attitudes need to change, or confidence needs to change, or them two need to just
Yeah.
get a room really and get on with it. Like stop
I
crying at
do.
each other.
I think this team again. It's the same Gary Neville rant yesterday. This team was the team that was what got Ollie. I know it's Ollie's team. He maybe should have recruited that, but it was the team that got Ollie sacked, and they're going to get a lot more managers sacked if they keep playing like this. Not play, they should be blowing away with Newcastle. I know Eddie Howe's doing a good job of pulling them all together, but you should be destroying Newcastle.
It says a lot when Joelinton was man of the match, and he was fantastic. Don't get me, I'm not. Did you see Joelinton's stats that game?
Yeah,
He was
no, I mean,
unbelievable.
but Newcastle won one game all season out of
Yeah,
19. Man United, even this Man United, not a Man United of 10 years ago, this United should be beating them 4-0.
yeah, they should
Like,
be slapping about the
if, you,
park.
if you're fighting for top four, you need. I mean, they're averaging more than 2 goals conceded a game. Newcastle and Man United can't even get two past them. But
I
it's.
am going to change my top four prediction and say that United will be lucky to get sixth.
I mean, unless they change something. I mean, we see Conte. We're going to talk about this in a second, aren't we? Conte's not lost since being at Tottenham. The first manager, I think, is it 7 games in the league he's been in charge from now?
Hmm.
It's the first Tottenham manager of all time to not be unbeaten in the first 7 games. It could be Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham, United, maybe.
Yeah, and I think Tottenham. Don't get me wrong, I still think top four will be Arsenal, but I think Tottenham will pull them most of the way there.
Yeah, even now, even though they drew today, if they win their 2 games in hand, they're still fourth at the moment. I
Hmm.
mean, they have to win them games. They threw one of them away today. But yeah, it's going to be close, but I don't think United will enough to get top.
It will be. So two more results to go through. We'll go through Palace first. Crystal Palace 3, Norwich 0.
Yes, was that today?
Yeah.
Yes, sorry. Because you
So
sort of talked about the Tottenham one already, haven't we?
yeah, we flashed through Tottenham already.
Yeah, but
So
Crystal Palace,
Palace is gone.
like it was Norwich looked like a lost cause. The question with Norwich, I think, is are they going to keep Dean Smith if they get relegated? Because
Well,
it's not his team. He's proven to be. He got Villa promoted, didn't
yeah.
he? He's
Who did? Sorry.
Dean Smith got Villa promoted, didn't he?
Yes, he did. And
Yeah,
he
he's been.
basically
He
the
knows how
issue
to
is
get
with
on with.
Villa, which is quite a bit of note to say, is this was Villa's first real run of bad form under Dean Smith, and they just
Yeah,
lost their best player for 100 mil, and they were
yeah,
soon to get rid of him.
and he's taken over a team who were
Hmm.
destined for relegation. Really, do they keep him? Because there's not. I mean, he's inherited a team which has been underperforming and not had any chance already now. If they get relegated, surely they should keep him. I know you're probably a bit biased on this one.
I
As a big
think
Villa fan and Villa manager.
I always firmly believe that if you take a team down, you should at least attempt. Or, you should be honest, you should say if you feel like you have a good chance at bringing them straight back up, go for it.
Especially if you're taking over mid-season.
Yeah, like mid-season especially. If you started the season and you plan at work, I can understand it.
Like if Brucey was stayed at Newcastle and they got relegated, you'd understand him going, now you're gone.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think
But
so,
yeah,
but it's interesting, isn't it? I think any positives to say for Norwich? No, I've just read something quite interesting on Sky,
yeah.
and it's nothing major. It just says Canaries suffer fifth straight defeat without scoring. They're
They need to
conceding and
score.
they're not scoring.
They've scored
Their
in
whole
19 games. They've scored 8 all season.
it's Their whole game plan is Timu Pukki. And if
Yeah,
you nullify Pukki, they
I
don't know
mean,
what to do.
Pukki's never in his 2 seasons in the Prem. He's been awful. I know he scored in his first ever Prem game was against Liverpool,
Hmm
and maybe he scored a few of those, but he's been awful generally. So relying on a striker who failed the first time in the league is not a good decision. And on the other side, see Crystal Palace snuck into the top 10. They're ninth now.
Just the Vieira revolution.
He's doing all right, isn't
Bear in mind, they didn't have Conor Gallagher or Will Zaha this game.
he? Yeah,
Like,
it's good. I mean, they've won the least amount of games in the top 12, but it doesn't matter. They're still ninth.
they're gun ho, aren't they? They either win or lose. There is no drawing in this team. They are gun ho in it. Like, we are either going to win 3-0 or lose 4-2. It is fine. But Palace, safe, fine. Couple of things they'll need to obviously get in January. They need to keep hold of Zaha, as much as he's a hothead and a bit of an idiot.
He's very talented.
But saying that, AFCON's going to hurt them. I've got a
Yeah, a
list.
lot.
I've now finally got a list up in front of me of exactly who goes to AFCON. So we'll
Yeah,
go through that in a minute. But Palace lose Kouyaté,
yeah,
Schlupp,
yeah,
Jordan Ayew, and Zaha.
yeah. So they rely on Benteke.
Yeah, so
Who
yeah,
I do like Benteke.
King Christian.
But I don't know if he's a star leading man anymore.
Mm.
Like top.
No, I don't, but we'll see. The final game and the most
Was
weird one. I expected West Ham to beat Watford, but I didn't expect 4-1
did it finish 4? I didn't see the
for
last goal.
90th minute. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I saw till 3-1. I didn't see the, the fourth goal go in. Wow. I mean, even when Watford were winning, they weren't convincing. Quick side note on this: Dennis, he's only got one more game. He is going to AFCON. I know
yeah,
you
I
said he might
know.
not be,
He's been
um,
called
he,
up.
but even when they went ahead, great finish. Like the way he took on,
Oh,
I think it was Dawson,
he left him on his
and he
ass, didn't
dummied him,
he?
and then literally looked like he was going over. It was that high in the corner, in the top corner. It was a great finish. But even then, they looked like they were going to lose. West Ham just pressed and pressed and pressed. They were. It was a West Ham who you sort of saw at the start of the season,
Oh,
like
massive.
when they were in form, like
They look
very
back to
good.
their aggressive, pushy selves. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
how do I feel about it after watching some of that? So, disclaimer: I am working nights. I fell asleep, woke up and saw the score. So I've tried to quickly watch highlights and try and catch up on everything. From the goals I saw, Watford defensively look a bit frail still.
yeah,
Like Souček literally. How do you let any Premier League footballer have about 4 yards around him in the centre of your box to have a shot on goal? Like, I know he
yeah,
ran
yeah,
into the
yeah.
box, but there was no one tracking that mark.
It
The
was
goals just, yeah, considering Watford have had such a long layoff with missing a couple of games, you'd expect them to be fit, but at the same time, I suppose if they've actually had COVID, which they have, it was going to be
yeah,
like a warm-up game for them again and gaining fitness.
yeah. How many weeks off was it? 2 or 3, maybe.
2 or 3,
Like
like.
game.
And it's just, you do feel for Watford, especially, and I'm going there again. You ready for this, John?
Go on.
African Cup of Nations. Peter Etebo, Willa Kong, Messina,
Yeah.
Ismail Sarr, Emmanuel Dennis all leave to the AFCON.
Wow.
Kong, club captain, centre back. Etebo, centre
Okay.
mid, I believe. Messina, defender. Sarr and Dennis. Like,
Yeah.
Ismail Sarr
Yeah.
and Emmanuel Dennis. You're arguably your two biggest goal threats when fit.
Yeah. They could draw. They want their teams to get knocked out quick, or the tournament to get cancelled.
Yeah,
That's
they
what
are
they're hoping for
praying
right
for a
now.
tournament cancel. Or just do what Burnley do and just basically go into hibernation.
Yeah.
Like Burnley, like, are they still in the Prem? Are they allowed to play? Like they've got away with murder the last 2 weeks. I'm sorry, but they have got away with absolute murder just getting these games
Yeah.
pulled last minute. Like it is ridiculous. Like I believe there's a picture on the day when he got called off against Watford, and you can just see like a bit of a smile on Dyche's face. Or when it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
snowing
Yeah.
really heavy one day and they called it off, it might not have been Watford the game before. You just see a grin on his face and you're like, You know what you've done, lad. Like,
Yeah.
well, Watford, I still have them to beat the drop.
I hope they do. With Newcastle probably investing and probably saving themselves, it could be a struggle, but I hope they do. I don't want to see them in the Championship again.
Yeah.
I hope they do, but I'm not sure. Especially with this AFCON list you said.
No, me too.
But I out of the teams down there, I hope they stay up. Out of all the
Yeah.
ones down there, I just don't know if that's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, should we go through this AFCON list just to finish today?
Do you want me to just say, all right, I've got it in
See
front
which
of me.
teams,
Okay.
which teams. I think that was all we had down for today.
Okay, so
Obviously, we talked about COVID a little bit, but yeah, we'll talk about January transfer window maybe next week.
Yeah,
But
we'll
let's go
do
through
a
these.
January transfer windows. Well, if anything, we'll do it New Year's Day. We'll do a little like chat on New Year's Day and just sit and talk.
Yeah.
Right, so Arsenal, Thomas Partey, obviously El Nene, Aubameyang, and Nicolas Pepe. Villa, not really bothered by theirs. They lose Trezeguet, who hardly plays, Bertrand
Yeah.
Traore, who's in and out, and Marvelous
On the
Nakamba.
bench, really. I love
Brentford,
Marvelous. I love that name. But
yeah,
then first two teams, not too bothered, I don't
nah.
think. They lose some backup, especially COVID, but they probably cope.
Brentford lose Julian Jean Veneer, Frank Onyeka, and Fus Henry. Brighton are losing Basuma.
So first four,
Not
easy.
big. Burnley lose
Not
Cornet to the Ivory Coast. Chelsea
who
lose
do, sorry?
Edouard Mendy and Cornet, the left back.
Oh yeah.
Chelsea lose Mendy and Ziyech.
Again, I mean Mendy. They got Kepa, who he was in goal with him for a season. Like it's
Yeah.
not the worst. And Ziyech, he plays every so often. They're not
Uh,
too bad for Chelsea.
Palace, Koyate, Schlupp,
Yeah.
Jordan Ayew even, and Zaha.
So far,
Everton,
Palace are the worst
yeah.
affected.
Everton, Gumabin for the Ivory Coast and Iwobi.
Yeah.
Leeds, no one.
Yeah.
Good old Leeds. Oh, Leicester, Amati,
Mhm.
Mendy,
Yeah.
Wilfred and Ndidi and Iniacho.
So all their defensive midfielders. Was that three defensive midfielders they're
Yeah.
losing there?
And
Oh my
the worst part
days!
is, you could argue Ndidi and Iniacho are both going to play for Nigeria, who are strong probably favourites to win it.
Definitely, you'd expect semi-final. Anything lower than semi-final is a bad
Oh,
tournament.
I don't think Matty got called up by the look of this.
Who?
Salah, Keita and Mane are the only ones called up from the Liverpool squad.
Wow. Okay.
Maybe he's
I
old.
mean, who's worse affected? Just quickly, Crystal Palace or Leicester? Because I know Crystal Palace maybe have more influential players, but Leicester are losing their middle.
They're losing the striker and their best, one of the best arguably CDMs in the Premier League in Wilfred and Ndidi.
Yeah. Oh dear, Leicester. I think Leicester got it worse.
Yeah. Leicester just lose Mahrez.
I reckon Crystal Palace would grind out draws, but I don't know if Leicester can if that defence goes. That defensive mid.
Yeah.
Wow. Sorry, carry on.
That's alright. Leicester just lose Mahrez. United lose Bailly and
Leicester use Mahrez.
Dalio.
To me, City.
City lose Mahrez.
Yeah.
United just use Eric Bailly and Ahmad Dalio to Ivory Coast. Newcastle and Norwich lose no one.
That's good for them too in their
Yeah.
relegation battle.
Southampton lose Musa Djepino, the centre back.
Yeah.
Is he?
He got sent off today.
And Mohamed Salasiu, the other centre back.
Oh, no, it wasn't Marissa Giuseppe who got sent off. It was Salus who got sent off. Sorry. But yeah, who else I lose?
Some defender called Mohamed Salasiu.
Okay, yeah.
Tottenham and West Ham lose no one. Wolverhampton Wanderers lose Roman Sayers, the Moroccan defender. And obviously Watford.
Got sent off, by the way.
Does it? Nice.
Yeah.
And Watford obviously get battered. They lose Etebo, Atrusta Kong, Messina, Ishmael Sarr, and Emmanuel Dennis.
So the three teams really affected. I mean, Southampton, Salusi's played his last game for them now for AFCON.
Yeah.
But it's Crystal Palace, Leicester, and Watford. And the ones who really struggle the most out of them, probably Watford.
Yeah.
Especially when their team's already not performing
If Watford can keep
to
their
their
heads above
highest.
water, I'm sure the Tin Command's got a plan or four up his sleeve where he'll bring some stuff in. I think they will. I still hold tight that they're going to be okay. I really want them to stay up.
They might be living off loans though. I mean,
That's fine.
Norwich have already used loads of loans, but thankfully they're not really like in trouble with it.
I mean, what you're hoping for is COVID to just kind of go, no, AFCON.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair though, more games could be called off if more players get it, and some of their players are already away. They won't be able to field the bench. What is it they said? If the Premier League said if they've got enough players to do the bench, then the game's going on.
Then if you've
Like
got
14 players.
14 senior players, is it?
But with AFCON, like you see, maybe like Watford, if let's say a few of their players get COVID, maybe
Yeah,
they
they
will have more matches cancelled. But who knows?
play
You know
Burnley at their own game.
exactly, mate. I don't know when the match been rearranged, maybe then.
Exactly. But I think that's everything, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Right. Well,
Wow, good chat. I really enjoyed that.
that hour went quick, but aye. Right. Guys, obviously please like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. Obviously like us on Spotify as well. Click the little bell notifications to get notified when we decide to upload as well. And much love
Yeah,
in
brilliant.
a
See you in a bit.
in a bit.